Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
A former San Diego sheriff's captain arrested for running an illegal gun ring.
The indictment alleges that Mr. Garmo abused his position of public trust.
He's accused of making some of those transactions from his office.
He purchased and sold over 100 firearms
with the help of a prominent jeweler.
Leo Hamill and Marco Garmo are among the 5 people charged in this case. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Lindsay Pena. Prosecutors say the two worked together to illegally sell guns meant for law enforcement to make a profit. Team 10 is looking into the relationship between the two, but we begin with 10 News anchor Derek Stahl. He's live at the federal courthouse. Derek.
Good evening. A judge just set Marco Garmo's bond at $100,000 and ordered him to surrender all of his firearms. Prosecutors say he ran an illegal firearms business in part for profit, in part for political reasons, because he wanted the top job of sheriff. 52-year-old Marco Garmo pleaded not guilty to 19 federal charges. Prosecutors say the former captain of the Rancho San Diego Sheriff's Station used his position in several ways, including to tip off his cousin that agents were about to raid his cousin's unlicensed marijuana dispensary.
Communication of pending law enforcement operations to investigative subjects has the potential to put the safety of law enforcement officers at risk.
Prosecutors say Garmo also used his law enforcement status to buy and sell firearms that were not available to the general public, so-called off-roster guns. Over a 6-year period, investigators say he sold more than 100 firearms for cash or to collect favors from those who might support him in a future run for San Diego sheriff.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's charges demonstrate that we will not tolerate the abuse of public trust and those who abuse their positions of public trust for their own personal gain.
Back in February, 10 News was there as agents raided Leo Hamill's fine jewelers in Old Town. We've now learned Hamill was charged with working with Garmo to resell guns and falsify records. Both he and Sheriff's Lieutenant Fred Magana pleaded guilty to those charges today.
This is a classic firearms trafficking case.
Another man, Will Anton, is charged with helping Garmo's clients bypass the waiting list for concealed carry permits and giving Garmo kickbacks in return. He pleaded not guilty. And a 5th defendant, a firearms dealer, is still at large. Prosecutors have actually been aware of Garmo's gun sales for a few years. The case was actually referred to then DA Bonnie Dumanis back in 2017, but she declined to file charges. Today, federal prosecutors say that they developed new information, new evidence that led to the charges today. Reporting live, I'm Derek Stahl, 10 News.
Thank you, Derek. And federal authorities say Garmo abused his position of public trust.
Our Team 10 investigator Adam Rakusin is live at the Sheriff's Department's Rancho San Diego substation where Garmo was a captain. Adam.
Yeah, I want you to think back to February. This is where we were, standing in the pouring rain just after agents served search warrants. This is where Marco Garmo worked, and federal authorities say at some point he was conducting those illegal activities right out of his office.
The indictment's clear. Prosecutors say Marco Garmo wanted to run for San Diego County Sheriff, and his business of firearms dealing was going to help cultivate future donors for that campaign. While we don't know who those donors would have been, Garmo did know Leo Hamill, a wealthy San Diego jeweler.
There's never been a better time than now.
This morning, Hamill admitted he aided Garmo's business by engineering and engaging in straw purchases of firearms, creating false records to conceal those purchases and offering to promote Garmo's weapons. Back in February, federal authorities raided Hamill's East County home. As part of his guilty plea, authorities say Hamill admitted that he acquired several firearms from Garmo without proper documentation through bogus long-term firearm loans in exchange for money. This afternoon, we tried to talk to Hamill, but this is as close as we could get to his house. He lives in a gated community. We tried calling his listed number, but it went to one of his San Diego stores.
And Sheriff Bill Gore said back in 2017, he learned that an employee was possibly involved in illegal conduct and asked for the help of federal authorities. This afternoon, the sheriff sent 10 News a statement, and it reads in part, the Sheriff's Department will not tolerate criminal behavior amongst its ranks and will hold its employees accountable for their actions. That's from the sheriff tonight. Reporting live in Rancho San Diego, Adam Rakusin, Team 10.
Quite a story, Adam. Thank you. You can keep track of any developments in this case by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
I'm Jennifer Kastner in the 10 News Live Center tonight. We have some breaking news. One of the victims from yesterday's crash on an Air Force base was from San Diego. We have that confirmed. Second Lieutenant Travis Wilkie, a photo posted by the U.S. Air Force Academy. He was a graduate of La Jolla Country Day, where he was apparently a star baseball player. He was only 23 years old. Let's go to some video from the crash yesterday at Vance Air Force Base. Lieutenant Colonel John Kincaid, 47 years old, also died. He was an instructor pilot. Wilkie was a student pilot, both killed during a training mission. 10 News just got off the phone with his grandmother, who said he was a gifted athlete and a gifted airman. He was following in his grandfather's footsteps, who was also in the military. More on that interview throughout our shows tonight on 10 News. In the Live Center, Jennifer Kastner, 10 News.
Jen, thank you for the update. All right, we have some breaking news out of Spring Valley, where a mishap involving yard work may have sent one man to the hospital.
Let's go live to 10 News reporter Cassie Carlisle. She has the latest. Cassie.
We're out here at the 4100 block of Conrad Street, where you can see that it is shut down for about a block. You can see those elderly people starting to walk up the driveway. There was a group over here on the sidewalk just moments ago. It looks like they're finally clearing the scene, but what we have confirmed from the Sheriff's Department is that a man was mixing up chemicals with pesticides, and that's what led to this hazmat situation. We just heard a firefighter say that they are about to reopen the road here, so you can see that they are going back home and they're clearing up the scene. We're hoping to find out a little bit more as the time goes on and as we talk with more officials, as we just arrived here about 15 minutes ago. Reporting live here in Spring Valley, Cassie Carlisle, 10 News.
Thank you, Cassie. New at 5, members of Congress are demanding change in the treatment of African refugees at our border. Several of them toured the area today, calling conditions dehumanizing. 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz is live in San Ysidro. And Jen, they actually spoke with some refugees themselves.
That's right, Lindsay. There were lawmakers here from California and as far away as New York who actually sat down with the refugees to talk about their stories. They say some of the migrants were actually holding back tears as they were describing everything they went through just to get here. Congressional leaders making a stop at the San Ysidro Port of Entry today. Among them, Representative Juan Vargas from California's 51st District. The stop stemming from what he calls a humanitarian crisis at our border.
It's sinful. It's wrong, it's un-American, and it's getting worse.
But this time, it's about migrants from Africa and the Caribbean.
And the black population has been treated very, very poorly in Mexico and in the United States, and they have been invisible.
In October, Immigration and Customs Enforcement announced an asylum seeker from Cameroon died in their custody at the Otay Mesa Detention Center. Today, Representative Vargas got to speak with refugees face to face.
The stories that have been the harshest, the most cruel, the most gut-wrenching have been of women in particular, been raped, violated, and abused. And this is after all this suffering they already have suffered in their countries.
The congressman was joined by the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Representative Karen Bass.
It was difficult to even have conversations with them because their level of trauma was so severe. We had to wait as they cried and explained why they left their countries and what has happened here.
After their tour, the group held a hearing to listen to witness testimony on conditions for refugees seeking asylum, hoping to return soon and make some changes.
So we will leave here today. I will promise you that we will be back.
Representative Vargas and his colleagues will be meeting with the United Nations next week. They say everything they learned here today will be at the forefront of their discussion. Reporting live from San Ysidro tonight, Jennifer De La Cruz, 10 News.
Tonight, there will be a vigil for a Paradise Hills family murdered by the mother's estranged husband. Sabrina Rosario and her 4 boys were killed by Jose Valdivia last weekend. He then killed himself. Of their 4 children, only 1 survived, and he is on life support. Family and friends are gathering at the United Church of Christ in Paradise Hills. That vigil starts at 6.
All right, now to a developing story. Sheriff's deputies arrested a 13-year-old boy and seized an assault-style rifle in connection with a reported threat at a Los Angeles middle school. Multiple students overheard the threats and warned teachers. As reporter Miriam Hernandez explains, deputies made a shocking discovery when they searched the boy's home.
I'm very shocked because it's not really common within our inner city schools here.
A scare that no one saw coming. First, rumors at Animal May Jemison Middle School. Then a shocking discovery at the home of a 13-year-old student, an AR-15 type semi-automatic rifle. Investigators say they also found a crude map and what may be a hit list, names of students and staff.
I heard that there's a rumor about this kid, and I barely heard today that there is a rumor about this kid that was gonna kill people.
It started with students hearing, then reporting disturbing talk.
Teachers emailed the administration about concerns raised by the students. School officials contacted the Sheriff's Department immediately.
Patrol deputies went out there. We were able to conduct many interviews at the time, ultimately leading, just as the sheriff said, to the subject's home. Our detectives went out there. We authored a search warrant, ultimately searched that residence where we recovered that firearm and some other things that are an important part of our investigation.
The school, hyper aware of the Saugus shooting and the threat of copycats.
I heard that there was like tons of shootings around this country, and I got scared.
Maybe they can ramp up security at the school. That would be, metal detectors or something, because kids are not safe nowadays.
That was Miriam Hernandez reporting. A 19-year-old relative of that teenager was also arrested at the home where the search warrant was served. He was arrested for possession of an unregistered firearm, and he is now being held on $35,000 bail.
Another E. coli outbreak is making people sick. Health officials are warning people not to eat romaine lettuce grown in Salinas. And if the label doesn't say where it was grown, avoid that too. 40 people have gotten sick so far, spread out over 12 states. FDA investigators have traced the outbreak to the Salinas area, but haven't found the specific farm yet. There was another E. coli outbreak from Romaine just before Thanksgiving last year.